What's up, Kubota crew? Welcome in. Hopefully you guys are doing good today. Back on it for another day in the market today, and today's looking like we might get a little trade here to the upside, running up again. You know, if you've been watching our stuff, we've been talking about the market kind of getting at a top, but the system is calling another upside trade, so I guess we'll ride it up a little bit more, seeing if we can get a little bit more out of it before we drop down. But we'll take a look at that in a second. Kind of going over last night, we kind of just continued our run up. Really, we traded sideways kind of beginning of the day, and then pretty much right after the live, well, a little bit after the live, probably I guess more like 2:30 my time, so 2:30 CST. Started to get a little bit of a run up, and it ran up to around 83,000, pretty close to it at least. And then now we're pretty close to the kind of back to the level where we were the other day or yesterday whenever we started opening. So you know, not a whole lot of movement, a little bit of up run, but mostly sideways. Like I said though, today is setting up for a little bit of a trade, so we'll take a look at that. Yeah, right now I guess, so head on over to Kubota.com to check out that. It's not popping up, so give me a second. And there we go. Alright, so these are our trades for today. So we got a BTC grade B, we got an ETH grade B, and a Solana grade B. So all three grade B. That's pretty good for you know, saying which directions the market going to go. That's a pretty good sign that all three are lining up and giving you the same trade. Excuse me. So we'll go ahead and grab BTC first, and we'll use that one on our charts. So go ahead, go back here, open up our Predator stuff, and we'll throw in the new lines here on Wednesday. There we go. So you can see we got our breakout line here. We got our daily resistance here in red. Pretty decent gap, and it's a jailbreak trade if you're looking at it from standpoint of our old system. You got a breakdown trade here, and then we got a blue line here is our daily resistance. Speaking of daily, we kind of looking at that 200 here. We've been watching that, getting ready. We're ready to kind of come up and hit that. Technically yesterday we kind of got within the ballpark of hitting it, so that could have been the hit there. There could be also, you know, we could run up today and get a spike through it, maybe get a little bit higher and then break down. But it's looking like we're pulling back to that 200. So pretty big line there, pretty big resistance right above us. So just something to keep in mind. That's at around 83 to 77 or so. So, you know, something to keep in mind as we're kind of looking at that. It would be around right around here somewhere. So we got a little bit of room above us, but that's definitely a resistance zone there. And I believe that's actually called out in the trade. So if we head back here to our market radar here on Kubota.com, we'll open up our settings here. Here's what the new cockpit looks like. We weren't able to look at it yesterday, but this is what you're looking at. So you can see we got our different, we got our trade over here, and then we got the settings. So grade B, we got all the things that are kind of, or some of the main, I guess, points, not all of them, that are kind of thrown in here to show you what it is that the system is saying is looking good. Then you got raw diagnostics down here, and then below that we got the how you're supposed to take a grade B basically. So we'll take the trade, and then you got a 30% ride and 70% scale. So what that means is the scale is what you take out at target 1, and then the 30% is what you're going to ride to either target 2 or target 3, depending on you know, how you want to trade it. You can get that easily by just going over here and saying, oh, you know, my account's a $4,000 account and I want to risk 10% on each trade. So then, you know, that'd be a $400 trade, which is what it says down here at the bottom. And then over here, you can see we got total contracts. So that number will change. It's BTC now. So, you know, these are, I mean, technically it's a Satoshi, but it's a part of a BTC. So if you're going to put the number into your trading thing, you can just go ahead and put this in there as long as it's in BTC. And then it will read this and say, okay, well, you're putting $400 on the trade wherever if your stops here and your entries here. That's the idea. Yeah, so then we'll also, you can see it says sell targets. Sell at target 1. So this number here will be the number, that'll be your 70%. So it'll do the math until it'll take 70% if you put that number in. And then if you put this number in there, that'll be your 30% there. So, you know, it kind of just breaks it down for you, makes it easy. That's what those numbers are. And then we got our targets and stuff down here, just like normal. So pretty, not too much different than we used to have it. A little different than what we kind of changed it to, but it's how it is. So we'll go ahead and copy our trade data here, and we'll throw it into our new stuff here. So we'll go to our mission plotter here and throw in the trade. And this is what we're looking at for today. So you can see our stops pretty far down there, and you might be like, well, why is it so far down? Because I remember back in the day, you guys used to trade just below the 30-minute range. And while that is a pretty solid place to put your stop most of the time, what we've been basing it off of now is actually some different support and resistance within the gravity map. So if we go head back to Kubroto.com, we'll close this out and we'll check out the gravity map. You can see we have some different levels below us, and the closest level is that 79.5 level. Then we got a 78.905. So basically we want our stop kind of under that level, because you can see there's two different levels here, but they're pretty small. Not a lot of just not a lot of power, I guess, to them. So most of it is going to be down here in this larger area. And specifically this one here is what we're going to throw our stop under, because if we're going to come down here, obviously if we get below this, then we're going to continue down. So really we want to stay above that. That's why our stop's so far down there. And I believe it might even be within some of these. Let's see, 79.3. Yeah, no, it's right below this one. So that's where it is. That's why it's so low though, because you can see where our 30-minute range was about right in here somewhere, and there's nothing in there. There's no gravity wells or anything like that there. So yeah, just that's kind of how it looks in there. That's why your stop's so low. And if we can go and throw that trade on there just so you can see what it looks like. So obviously not anything crazy. If you pull your 30% or 70% at T1, you're not going to make a whole lot. It's just a 0.3, just kind of a little, you know, money in your pocket. And then 30% would make you 1-to-1 or so. So not too bad of a trade. Not anything like crazy great. Not anything. Yeah, it's not anything great. But you know, like we said, that whatchamacallit is right there. That daily 200 is right there at that 283, 277. So we would have to break through a little bit to get to that target 1, which, you know, if we do break up and we spike through it, that's more than likely we'll hit that. So it's not anything like a crazy move in terms of you know, where it's at, but it's definitely a little bit of, it'd be a little bit of a long shot, I guess, to go to target 2 for sure. Could we? Absolutely. We could run all the way up there. Definitely could get a spike up there. You know, we are talking about the daily 200, so we could get a good spike through it and then come back down. And running all the way up there is possible. It is at 86,900, so it's a pretty decent move up there. You know, like you're looking like a pretty decent move off of that 200. And like I said, it could spike up there. How likely is it that we go up there? Probably not that likely. So, you know, there's the trade there today. You could take it. You know, you're just gonna, you'd just be putting some cash in your pocket, I guess, if we do run up there. But am I expecting it to run to target 2? Probably not. So in terms of risk to reward, it's not too great here at target 1. But you know, it's money. So yeah, that's how it is. We can go ahead and look at the other charts too as well, though, just see what they look like. So that's kind of what BTC looks like, though. That's what we're watching for on BTC. If we head on to Solana, and we're gonna take all this stuff off. Let's see, Solana got a little bit more of a run up than BTC. We'll go ahead and get our levels though. So we'll head back to Kubota.com. We'll grab our raw data here and we'll throw it into our chart. And here is your Solana. So you can see not too great of a gap, but we do have that upside potential here. The trade is calling upside. We have some big resistance down here at that 85.6 to 86.2 level. So pretty big down there. We'll go ahead and grab the trade, see what we got. So for the trade here, this is our trade we're looking at for Solana. So a little bit nicer looking than BTC. You might get a little bit more of you get a little bit more just money in general from the trade. You know, you take it up to target 2, it's still a 1-to-1 about. But target 1's looking a little bit better. It's actually pretty close to a 1-to-1 as well. Obviously 2's a little over a 1-to-1. Target 1's a little bit under 1. But, you know, overall, how likely are we to go to that target? Pretty likely on target 1. So, you know, especially if Bitcoin goes up to that target 1, we'll probably see Solana do something of the same. So, definitely a little better risk to reward on Solana. Is it a better trade? That's definitely arguable. They're kind of both the same, you know, as far as it goes. Both of the charts are kind of looking for that run down. We're starting to get to the point of topping within the market, and you know, we've been talking about that on the channel for a while. So we're just looking for a little bit more of an up run, maybe at the top here before we start currently down. You know, the longer time frames are definitely staying down, but we still have a little bit of room to kind of push up again, I guess, before we break down. It could be a while. You know, we know it's going to break down eventually. It's just what specific time, we don't know yet. So that's kind of the trade we'd be looking at for Solana for today. That's the levels there and everything. So yeah, a little trade up to 92. We'll see where the daily 200 is on here. All right, well, Solana's 200 on the daily is actually pretty far up there at 115, so it definitely has a lot of room to run up if it's going to go up there. Yeah, so definitely some upside potential here on Solana. Like I said, we could run it up to target 1. Not a bad trade there. A little better risk reward than the Bitcoin trade for sure. Next we'll check out Ethereum, kind of see how that one looks. So we'll just grab the data here first. Head to Ethereum. Let's get our chart nice, and we want to be on the 15-minute here, not the daily. All right, so that's our chart there. We'll throw on our new levels. Oops, I just copied this. There we go. So these are our new levels. You can see we're actually already below our breakdown level, so kind of interesting there. Our daily resistance is way below our breakout trigger, and then you got the same thing with the daily support below that breakdown trigger. So interesting there, kind of how the two triggers are laid out. We're definitely gonna have to throw the trade on here and see what it kind of looks like for today. So we'll head back here, open up our thing, grab our trade, and see what it looks like. All right, so wow, even different on Ethereum here. Definitely interesting. So I do have, oops, I just put the chart on the, there we go. Yeah, definitely an interesting trade. Target 1 is pretty close though. So same thing as BTC, you know, target 1. In terms of target 1, not a great risk to reward. A little better than BTC, I guess, at a 0.43. I think BTC was like 0.2. If you did run up to target 2, you're making an 8.3. So not too bad for target 2, but like I said, target 2 is going to be a hard push today, and you're pulling most of your trade off at target 1 with the grade B setup. So in terms of like what is the best risk to reward today, it's definitely Solana. In terms of which trade is most likely to play out, I would probably always lean more towards BTC just because the other two charts kind of follow BTC. And that's actually one of the things that we have within their checklist of things that need to happen for the other two trades. So, you know, if BTC is looking like it's going to break down, then we don't want the system to throw an up trade for Ethereum and Solana if Bitcoin's going to go down. So yeah, that's why I would say, you know, BTC is probably most likely to go up. The only thing is, you know, BTC could go up a little bit and Sol and Ethereum could go up a lot. So overall, I would say, yeah, BTC is pretty likely to hit that, but, you know, it could really be any of them. That's why it's just a grade B setup. Yeah, it's just kind of, it's there, you take it and take the run up, and that's kind of how it works. But yeah, I would definitely be looking at that Sol one just because of the risk to reward. But BTC is definitely the most likely, and, you know, one of our more favored charts for sure. Definitely have traded it more. But we do need to get the break above now after that's 8:30 and run up. We did get it at around 6 o'clock this morning, so a little before our trading time, but, you know, it's there. So we'll see how it works there. But yeah, that's kind of the system today. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're watching for. Again, you know, we're pretty close to that top, so it's not going to be super great trading, just because our systems built for you know, taking the trades, you know, on the run up. It's not really great for one sideways, like just straight flat sideways like we have been in for a while, and it's not really great for, you know, topping or bottoming really, just because, you know, when you're topping, you have a lot of false moves happening where this charts will all be kind of saying, hey, we're gonna go down, and then you'll get a lot of like little runs up that will just, if you're trying to trade them, you'll take the short because it looks short, and then it will run up and take you out, and then run up and take you out, and run up and take you out, and it'll just keep happening over and over and over and over again. So it just makes it harder to, you know, find a good solid trade within that. But, you know, the system's there, it's calling that run up today, so it's definitely something to, you know, look at and look into. But like I said, it's not going to be a phenomenal trade. It's not going to be anything crazy. It's one of those, like, you know, you just be like, I just don't want to take it today, and you're not missing out on a whole lot. Is it saying that it's there? Yes, it's definitely saying it's there. There's definitely a trade there. The system's set up as long as we get above the entry line there. But like I said, it's not going to be super awesome or anything super crazy. So yeah, I guess just, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. And again, you know, we're not here for any kind of financial advice or anything like that. So we're just here for educational purposes. So everything we say should be taken with a grain of salt, I guess is what I'm saying. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at today. Will we ever get that trade today is probably a good question. It looks like we're trying to break down right now. You know, the 15 minutes kind of calling that top. I noticed on Solana, it's actually called that top quite a few times. So this indicator down here, regardless of if you know how to actually read it, the red lines here are typically not really the top, but it'll say, you know, this is getting near the top. So maybe this, if you're just looking at price action like here and back, then you might look at this and be like, oh, you know, we topped out here, already had topped out here. So if we get another spike, that'll be the top, and then we'll break down. And that's kind of the idea of the indicator. So here we already have another one. And with Solana, it's interesting because we've already had 1, 2, and then this is the third one here on the top. So could we get another run up? Yeah, we could. And it could just keep firing these. Like, it's not 100%, you know, that when it says that, oh, it's going to go down. But it is telling you that the market is starting to get a point where it's topping out. So interesting that we've had so many on Solana. Ethereum and Bitcoin only really have one on the 15-minute. But it is interesting to see that kind of forming there. It's telling us we might be starting to top out. You know, on like the 1 hour, you actually had it pretty long time ago. So, you know, how much farther are we going to go up? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but it does look like we're trying to break down here for. So you might not ever get that trade. You might not ever get the entry happening today. You might not be able to get in. It might just continue down, continue sideways, maybe even. But like we said, you know, there's definitely getting to a point of flipping more to being where you'd want to look for shorts, I guess. And we're looking to kind of scalp a little long off the top. So, you know, you're kind of just playing with it a little bit. Like I said, the system's there, all the stuff's set up for the trade. It's just it might not ever go up there. Is basically what I'm trying to say, I guess. We'll see what happens here. You know, here's it's our investment indicator here, investment charts. You can see we're pretty close to hitting that daily 200 we were talking about earlier. That could be the point where we kind of flip over, maybe come back, retest our 21, and then kind of create a flag. We'd kind of have to see the 200 kind of start to do a little curl, you know, go sideways, and then you'd see this 21 kind of come up and form somewhat of a flag, I guess, within the moving averages. So you'd see price action kind of come up, bounce down, we'd get a little bit of a breakdown, and then we'd kind of do one of these, and then eventually we'd break up and go to the upside. Definitely a possibility. It's hard to say, you know. definitely looks like we could get more of a pullback, but who knows? You know, and we still are in an overall downtrend. You know, if you look at price action, I mean, I guess we're kind of getting a little bit of a break now. But if you're looking at the downtrend here, you know, all the way up until this point right here, we kind of broke above it a little bit. So it could be a little bit of a false break. You know, we could come up here, hit this, and then just bounce back down, and we continue down into that downtrend and continue going down. Yeah, who's to say we don't do that? It'll just be a little bit of time. We'll have to. That's definitely a longer time frame look. You know, it's not something you're not playing all your trades off of just that. So we'll have to just watch and see what happens here with that. See which way we end up breaking down. But definitely interesting there. With that 200, we'll see how it kind of plays out. We need to see if we're going to kind of reject off of it, or if we're just kind of going to, maybe bounce off of it a little bit, but just come down and kind of hit that 21 and trade sideways for obviously a couple days, but just because it's the daily chart, but it'll just run sideways for a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get this trade today, though. It's looking like sideways to down action. Definitely seeing a lot of the indicators kind of breaking down. 1 hour is not looking too great. Looking the same on the 4 hour, ready to run down. Also have one of those same, we've been calling it beast mode. Beast mode candles basically forming with that red there. So that's something you don't want to see. The longer the time frame, the more accurate these are too. So, seeing this on the 4 hour, that's definitely not great. Obviously, like if you see it on the daily, that's really, really not great. But it's not 100% again. It's like, we had a beast mode here, and then we came down even farther, which this is what typically happens. You'll see kind of the beast mode side end, and then you'll see a breakdown even farther and kind of make a lower low than that one. Kind of, I'm guessing, take out people that are kind of like jumping in for the bottom. Take it out, go down even lower, and then that'll be that's your bottom there, is the idea. That's not to say though we can do a little pullback here before we break up and break that daily 200 like we were talking about earlier. But you see that red forming on the 4 hour, so that could indicate that maybe we're going to come down to their 4 hour 200 maybe. Who knows? Just kind of throwing some stuff out there. But, we'll see what happens today. Again, you're just waiting. If we break that entry right there, then we'll be looking at taking that trade to the upside. If not, then that's kind of the end of the trade. It's not a bad thing to not be able to trade today. It's just what it is. Kind of getting to that top, so the trades aren't going to be as great until we kind of start to flip and at least get some relief off of on the charts, and then once we get that relief, then we might be able to go back up, and then that's where you could see a lot of good trades, and even on the relief there might be some good downside trades, but we'll have to see as time kind of moves on and new candles start forming. But yeah, thanks for joining the live stream today. We got a video coming out here at 10. Spirit Maker made this video kind of going over the what happened yesterday, and why we weren't in the trade, and how it's kind of a bull trap, stuff like that. So check out that video. Like I said, it's coming out at 10. If you guys are really interested in watching that and want to make sure you don't miss it, make sure you hit that bell notification that'll make sure you get notified whenever it releases there. Yeah, I mean, also if you wouldn't mind, subscribe and hit that like button on your way out. That'd be helpful for our channel, help us reach some more people, and just kind of show off our system a little bit. Hopefully help people out with it. But yeah, thanks for joining again. We will be live tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. CST. So make sure y'all are on, ready to go at that point. We'll be live again. See how this trade plays out then, and also see if there's a trade for tomorrow. So yeah, thanks for joining. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Happy trading, y'all.